I spent 15 years caring for my grandmother while my siblings stayed away, and when she died, they showed up with lawyers claiming I manipulated her. What they found in her final letter destroyed them completely. My grandmother raised me, not in the metaphorical sense where people say someone was like a parent, but literally. When my mom decided motherhood wasn't for her and left when I was 7, it was Grandma Rose who took me in. My 2 older siblings, Marcus and Diana, were already teenagers by then, old enough to stay with Dad, old enough to choose sides. They chose his. I got Grandma's spare bedroom and her unshakable love, and I never once regretted it. For 15 years, I was the one who showed up. Every single day after school, then after work, then after my own kids were born. I'd bring groceries, help her with bills, sit with her during doctor's appointments that stretched for hours. When she got sick, really sick, I was the one who moved her into our house, set up the hospital bed in our dining room, learned how to manage her medications, her oxygen, her good days, and her catastrophically bad ones. My husband never complained. My kids, Rosie and Daniel, learned to whisper past Grandma's room when she was sleeping. They learned what real love looks like. Sacrifice without scorecards. But Marcus and Diana, they had lives. Busy lives. Important lives. Marcus lived 4 hours away and worked in finance. Something demanding that always seemed to require his attention more than Grandma did. Diana was closer, just 45 minutes out, but she had her yoga classes and her book club and her own mother-in-law to deal with. That's what she always said. I have my own mother-in-law, Sarah. Like care was a pie that could only be sliced so many ways. They visited maybe twice a year. Birthdays and Christmas sometimes. They'd stay for an hour, take a few photos, post them with captions about family being everything, and then vanish back into their perfect lives. And every time, Grandma would smile and pretend it didn't hurt. But I saw it. The way her face would fall when the door closed behind them. The way she'd grip my hand a little tighter afterward. When Grandma passed, it was quiet. Peaceful even. She went in her sleep with me holding her hand and Rosie asleep in the chair next to us. It was 4 a.m. The house was so still I could hear my own heartbeat. I didn't call Marcus and Diana right away. I just sat there with her for a while, memorizing her face, thanking her for everything she'd given me. Then I called them. Marcus answered on the 6th ring, groggy and annoyed. Diana didn't pick up at all. I left a voicemail. She texted back 3 hours later with a broken heart emoji and nothing else. The funeral was small. I planned everything. Chose the flowers, wrote the obituary, picked the songs she loved. Marcus showed up in a suit that looked like it cost more than the entire service. Diana brought her husband and cried beautifully for the cameras. People hugged them, told them how hard this must be. I stood in the back and watched them perform grief like it was a TED Talk, but I wasn't prepared for what came next. Not even close. 2 weeks after the funeral, I got a call from Grandma's lawyer, Mr. Peterson. He'd been her attorney for over 30 years, handled her will, her estate planning, everything. He asked me to come to his office the following Tuesday. Said there were some things we needed to discuss. I assumed it was paperwork. Maybe some loose ends to tie up. I didn't think much of it. Marcus and Diana got the same call. I know because Diana texted me asking if I knew what it was about. I told her I didn't. She sent back a shrugging emoji. When we all arrived at Mr. Peterson's office that Tuesday, the air was already tense. Marcus barely looked at me. Diana was on her phone. We sat in stiff chairs around a polished table, and Mr. Peterson pulled out a thick folder. He cleared his throat and began. Rose made very specific instructions regarding her estate. I'm here to execute those as she intended. He opened the will. Started reading. Grandma Rose had been smart with money. Not rich, but comfortable. She owned her home outright, had a decent savings account, some investments, a life insurance policy. Altogether, it was worth around $340,000. Not a fortune, but enough to matter, enough to change things. And she left it all to me. Every single cent, the house, the savings, the stocks, the policy, everything. She left Marcus and Diana nothing. Not even a token amount. Nothing. The room went dead silent. Then Marcus laughed. It was sharp and bitter. "This is a joke, right?" Mr. Peterson didn't flinch. "This is her final will and testament, updated 6 months ago and notarized. She was of sound mind." Diana's voice came out shrill. 6 months ago? She was barely coherent 6 months ago. "That's not true," I said quietly. "She was fine. You would know if you'd visited." Diana's face twisted. "Oh, here we go. You think because you played nurse for a few years you deserve everything? A few years? I took care of her for 15 years. You sent birthday cards." Marcus stood up. "This isn't over. We're contesting this." Mr. Peterson folded his hands. "You're welcome to try. But I should inform you that Rose anticipated that possibility. She left a letter." He slid an envelope across the table. It was addressed to all 3 of us in Grandma's shaky handwriting. I reached for it, but Marcus snatched it first. He tore it open and read aloud, his voice getting quieter with every line. "To my grandchildren, if you're reading this, it means I'm gone, and it probably means someone is unhappy with my choices. I need you to understand why I made them. Sarah was there. Every single day. She didn't do it for money or recognition. She did it because she loved me. She gave up her dining room so I wouldn't die alone in a facility. She bathed me when I couldn't do it myself. She held my hand through every terrifying doctor's visit. She taught her children to love me, not out of obligation, but out of real, deep affection. Marcus and Diana, I love you. I always will. But love is not the same as presence. You were busy. I understand that. Life is demanding. But Sarah showed up. And when you have a choice between someone who shows up and someone who makes excuses, you choose the one who stayed. This is not a punishment. This is a recognition. Sarah earned this. Not through manipulation, but through years of quiet, unglamorous love. If you're angry, I'm sorry, but I'm not wrong." Marcus stopped reading. His hands were shaking. Diana was crying, but not the pretty kind. The real ugly kind. "You manipulated her," she hissed at me. "You isolated her from us. You made her think we didn't care. But what I did next, that's the part I'll never forget, and neither will they. I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I just stood up, pulled out my phone, and opened my photo gallery. I scrolled back. Years of pictures. Me and Grandma at her doctor's appointments. Me helping her into the car. My kids reading to her. Birthday cakes we made together. Holidays where it was just us because no one else showed. I turned the phone toward them. This is what 15 years looks like. You want to contest the will? Go ahead. But every lawyer, every judge, everyone who looks at this case will see these photos. They'll see the hospital records with my name as the primary contact. They'll see the grocery receipts, the pharmacy logs, the mile markers on my car from driving her everywhere she needed to go. You'll lose, and you'll look exactly like what you are. People who want the reward without the work. Marcus slammed his hand on the table, but he had nothing to say. Diana just stared at me like I'd become someone she didn't recognize. Maybe I had. Maybe I'd finally stopped being the little sister who needed their approval. Mr. Peterson cleared his throat. "If there's nothing else, I believe we're done here." Marcus and Diana left without another word. I stayed behind for a moment, holding Grandma's letter, rereading the part where she said I earned this. For a few weeks, it was quiet. I started the process of transferring everything into my name. The house, the accounts, all of it. I thought maybe they'd let it go. But I should have known better. A month later, I got served with papers. They were contesting the will, claiming undue influence, saying I manipulated Grandma while she was vulnerable, isolated her from family, coerced her into changing her will. It was ugly. Every word was designed to paint me as a villain. I read through it once, then handed it to my lawyer. She skimmed it and sighed. "This is going to be expensive and exhausting, but they don't have a case." The will was clear. Rose was evaluated. "You have documentation. Still, I want you to be prepared for how nasty this might get." She wasn't wrong. Over the next few months, Marcus and Diana went scorched earth. They dug through everything, tried to find any instance where I might have influenced Grandma's decisions. They contacted her old friends, her neighbors, even her former hairdresser, trying to find anyone who'd say I was controlling, that I kept her away from them. But every single person they talked to said the same thing. Sarah was always there. You two weren't. It started to fall apart for them pretty quickly. Their lawyer even tried to depose me. I sat in a cold conference room and answered questions for 3 hours. Where were you on this date? Why did Rose move in with you? Did you ever discuss finances with her? Did you encourage her to limit contact with her other grandchildren? I answered every question calmly, truthfully. I didn't need to lie. The truth was on my side. And then came the moment that ended it. Their lawyer asked me, did Rose ever express frustration with Marcus and Diana? I paused. Looked him in the eye. Yes, she did. She said she felt forgotten. She said she understood they were busy, but that understanding didn't make it hurt less. She said she was grateful I stayed because she didn't want to die feeling like a burden. He went pale. That's when I knew we'd won. The case was dismissed 4 months later. The judge ruled that the will was valid, that Grandma had been of sound mind, and that there was no evidence of coercion or undue influence. Marcus and Diana were ordered to pay court costs. They didn't appeal. I think they finally understood what they'd lost, not the money, their credibility. Because once the case went public, once people saw the details, the narrative shifted. Suddenly, everyone knew. The family whispered. Friends asked questions. Their social media posts about family values started to look hollow. People stopped commenting, stopped liking. They'd exposed themselves. I sold Grandma's house 6 months later. It was too hard to go back there, too full of memories. I used the money to pay off our mortgage, set up college funds for Rosie and Daniel, and donate a significant amount to a hospice charity in Grandma's name. The rest I saved. Marcus and Diana sent a joint email a year later. It was short. We're sorry for how things went. We hope we can move forward. There was no real apology. No acknowledgement of what they'd actually done. Just a vague hope that I'd forget and let them back in. I didn't respond. Because here's what they don't understand. It was never about the money. It was about being seen. About my kids watching me show up day after day and learning that love is a verb. It's action. It's sacrifice. It's staying when it's hard. Grandma saw that. She honored it. And no amount of legal maneuvering or fake apologies can take that away. They wanted the inheritance. But what they didn't realize is that I already had it. I had 15 years of her stories, her laughter, her lessons. I had the way she held my babies, the way she taught Rosie to bake, the way she told Daniel he was brave. I had every single moment they missed, and now they have to live with that. They have to look at their kids and know they taught them that presence is optional. That showing up only matters when there's something to gain. I think about Grandma a lot still. Especially when things get hard. I think about the way she'd squeeze my hand and say, "You're my girl, Sarah. Always have been." She gave me more than money. She gave me proof that I was worth staying for. And no courtroom, no sibling rivalry, no bitter email can ever take that truth away from me. The last time I saw Marcus was at a family wedding 2 years later. He nodded at me from across the room. Didn't come over. Didn't speak. Diana wasn't even there. I heard she moved out of state. Started fresh somewhere people didn't know the story. I don't miss them. I don't hate them either. I just feel sorry for them. Because they gambled on Grandma waiting forever. They thought there'd always be more time. More chances. They thought love was something that just existed without maintenance. And they lost everything because of it. Not the money. The relationship. The respect. The moral high ground they thought they stood on. My kids ask about them sometimes. Rosie asked last month why she never sees her aunt and uncle anymore. I told her the truth, in a way she could understand. Sometimes people show you who they are through their actions, and we have to believe them. She nodded, thought about it, then went back to her homework. She's smart. She'll remember this. She'll know what kind of person to be. And maybe that's the real inheritance. Not what Grandma left in her will, but what she taught me to pass down. Show up, stay, love people when it's inconvenient. Don't wait until it's too late to prove you care. Because the people who matter, they're keeping score. Not with money, with presence, with memory, with the moments you chose them over everything else. Grandma Rose knew that. She lived it, And in the end, she made sure the person who lived it with her was taken care of. Marcus and Diana wanted justice. They got it. Just not the kind they expected. They got exactly what they gave. Nothing.